Hello, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Entrepreneurial Empire. Today, we have a very special guest visiting with us, and her name is Anita and Amarissa. And I hope I'm saying it correctly.
Yes, yeah.
And she is the CEO of Crimson Catz. Thank you so much for joining us today, Anita.
Thanks, Denise. Thanks for having me.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself and your story.
Okay, so obviously I'm Anita Amarissa. I have a twin sister, Sunita, who works with me. My story being when we started the business in 2009, I was going through a toxic relationship, toxic environment, and also I was in a toxic environment at work as well. And 2011 is when I found out about the law of attraction through my sister. And I had to learn about the law of attraction inside and out because it's a universal law. And we are who we are. When we think, our thoughts are what we attract. So we just have to, I had to be aware of that. So everything was negative around me. And it got to a point a few years later where the universe was giving me signs in how to leave a toxic relationship, leave a toxic workforce. I kept ignoring it because I was in fear. I was like, oh, I can't do that. I can't just leave and what's going to happen. So I was overthinking a lot of things, and that's what happens with a lot of people. You don't want to um step into change, into
Mm.
uncertainty. You didn't know what you're going to do, so it's a case of like having to keep up with just having to work and deal with things day by day. And it got to a point years later, and believe me, if I had stepped out of my fear zone, I would have left ages ago, kind of thing. But I left over 6 years ago. 2016 was my turning point, and in between that, I was going through the menopause. So I was like, yeah, go through the menopause at an early age, at 38. And it wasn't until I was 40 they diagnosed me because they were like trying everything and anything to see if it was something else. So I had loads of trips back and forth to the hospital. And in between that, I was going through the um, toxic relationship. And after that, but when I started to change my mindset, when I started to believe in me and my worth, because when you have so many put downs, when you have this other, your partner telling you what they think of you and that you're not worth this, that, and the other, and no one will else will be interested in you, and you don't have money, and you don't have this, and you don't have that, and it's all negative energy. You always believe it. You start to believe a lot of it, and you feel like your belief system is okay. Well, I'm not worthy of this. I'm not worthy of having good things. I'm not worthy of having that. I'm not having, and you don't change it. You just believe it, and you think, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do. But there was a turning point, and I was like, enough is enough. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I know my worth. I had to do the training. I had to go through what the law of attraction was all about. And I found out, yes, I was perimenopause going to menopause. I had to sort out my own way of dealing with it because there wasn't a lot out there. There were a lot of doctors saying this, that, and the other, but no one could give me proper advice.
Mm.
And and then through those years, I started then, it got to a turning point in 2016. Because 2015 was a very dark year. And then 2016, early February, March sort of time, I was like, I need to get out of it. I need to do something about it. So I started to plan things, and I used my mindset to visualize how I was going to do it. And it got to stepping stone. And basically, the universe was like, yeah, you're ready. Here you go. The door is open. Let's go. Let's do this. And I then said to my then partner, right, that's it. I'm going. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And it took me 4 days. I only had 4 days to declutter. Now,
Mm.
10 years worth of stuff to declutter in 4 days. And I was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? And it got to a point where my sister then stepped in for a couple of days to help me out. And I said, right, I need to find a storage place. I need to do this. I need to do that, get everything sorted. And then I realized when I started decluttering, energy was changing. The energy flow, and this is why I am a professional declutter as well as a law of attraction coach. So I started to declutter, and my crystals that I had lost came back to me. So they found their way back to me, and I was like,
Back to
wow,
you.
they're my crystals. Where have they been
That was
all
a
this time when I
sign.
needed them? And it's because of the negative energy, they drifted, and I didn't realize that. So I found all of that, and I decluttered. Oh my gosh, when I moved, I had a place to go, and live for a while before then I started to manifest a better place to live. I moved all my stuff out. That was all done and dusted, had to get all the paperwork sorted out. And do you know what? I sometimes sit there and go, how on earth did I do that? Because it was so like hectic, and all you could focus on was, right, I'm going to do this. This is how it's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. I also visualized the conversation. And then when it got to a point of, so when I was 15 as well, I used to declutter all the time, my bedroom, things like that. But I never thought later on it would be like a good proper declutter and then go into it professionally, because I help other people declutter and re-energize their homes and stuff. Because feng shui, I know a lot of people say feng shui, but when I was trained in that, I was doing it when I was 15 anyway. But when I got trained into it, because a lot of people say like, oh, do you have a qualification, especially in the UK? They're like, oh, do you have a qualification in that? So you have to have a bit of paper and insurance and things like that. And so feng shui, I did when I was 15, and then I got trained a few years back. And I thought, wow, I'll put this. So I found three things that worked. And that's the reason I do it, because of my story. So I did the law of attraction, did a decluttering, and I did the feng shui. So all those three made a massive impact. With feng shui, as you know, the elements, and where you position your furniture, where you find the flow in your desk and behind your
Mm.
desk, using specific things like water fountains, checking where you're living as well, and checking the front of your house, the back of your house, like if there's a black turtle, a white tiger, a green dragon, all that kind of stuff as well was really, really important. So every time I was moving from one place to another, I would check the outside elements and also check indoors. And also when it came to prosperity, because that time it got to a point I had 12p in my account. So it was like, how much have I got? And that's when I left, because I was paying out for this, paying out for that. My business, so the business from Assist, I couldn't concentrate on it so much because of what was going on in my life, in my personal life. And then as soon as I left that area, oh my gosh, Denise, it just went bonkers. Business went up, money was flowing in. I was doing
Wow.
my feng shui, I was changing things. In the places I was living, I was changing things around. I started to understand, oh, yep, use that color for that element, use that for that, golds for money, purples, greens, reds. And in the situation, in the place that I was living, I was putting certain pictures up. I manifested a relationship, you know, yeah, as well. I manifested a relationship. I did I made a list basically of what my partner would look like, and his attributes, and how he is, and what his not his belief system, but it was more a case of like what he'd have in common with me.
Mm.
And that happened. So when I moved out 2016, that happened in 2019, early 2019. And I met him where I used to work. So it was like, oh, and I never noticed until afterwards.
Universe.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it was the universe saying, hi, now you're ready. Because I kept saying, universe, I've done my work. I've worked on myself. I've done my self-worth. I've done my self-beliefs. I've worked through who I am and what I want and what I deserve. And then that came into place. And then we ended up moving in together, and it all just flowed. Everything just flowed. And it was like, wow, if I had done this a few years before, I might have been in a better place. And this is why I say to everyone, step out the fear, because fear stops you from change.
Mm.
And then what happened next? Well, angel numbers started chasing me. So I kept seeing angel numbers everywhere. And this also helped me design and use the law of attraction in order to gain the things I wanted. Because angel numbers repeat themselves. And if people aren't into angels, that's okay. But angels will communicate with you in different ways. So it could be a song repeating itself all the time. So it's following you. You could be in a supermarket and a song is playing, and then you hear it again in your car, or then you hear it again somewhere else. And then that's where you need to start listening to the lyrics, because they're trying to tell you something. So if you've got a question in your head, if you're wondering, shall I, shan't I, what shall I do? The angels will tell you. And they're always positive. They will pre-warn you of things, but in a nice way, in a positive way. So you can sort of like either nip it in the bud or work around the situation, or create a situation that you want to create. And if it's not the music, it might be the sounds, or it'll be the numbers. And the numbers, if you see a bus that's got a 2929 on it, it means something. If you got a 555, it's a lot about changes. 911, it's all about change, massive changes. You got the 333, which is the Trinity, and the 444s, the Ascended Masters. So they're all saying to you, we're here for you, we love you, we want to send you a boost of energy and help you out. The 777, now my lucky numbers are 3 and 7, and 7 is the number of miracles. So if you see 777 or 77, get excited. Start saying, yay, get excited.
I love the number 7. I want to ask you, what inspired you to want to get into, the astrology, the crystals, all of them?
So the crystals happened when I was younger, a lot younger. I think our mum was very into star signs, and we also learned the Eastern side of things, like Chinese signs as well. So you've got all the animals, and they all represent on the Western side. Like, for example, the ox on the Eastern side is also Capricorn on the Western side. Yeah. And like you've got tiger on the Eastern side, which is also Aquarius. So they all represent each sign, whatever sign that is. So we got into that when we were kids. We'd read up about it. My sister would do a lot more reading on it, but we'd read up about it, all that kind of stuff. My sister was a tarot, she still is a tarot reader. We do angel cards, all that kind of stuff. And mum would be talking about, she'd buy all these books by astrologers like Russell Grant and things like that, and she'd sit there every day and read her horoscopes and things. So we was like, oh, that's interesting, what's that about? And that's how we got into it. We were like, oh yeah, get these books, read about the planetary activities. We got into astronomy as well, and because of the planet and the planets and how they work. And we sit there and draw charts out for our friends and things and make money out of it, because they'd be like, oh, can you draw us an astro chart? And we go, yeah, okay then. And it's going to cost you like £5, £10. And they go, oh yeah, that's fine. So we sit there and draw those out. And it just came from that. So all that kind of stuff, all the spiritual stuff, and also like we were into yoga and things anyway, and we understood the chakras, the energy system, and we used to work with that. And then from then we understood the colors. When our background as well as art, we're art and design we were art and design students, so we still use color, and we use color in business as well as outside, and also with feng shui as well as law of attraction. So each color represents something. And that, and also colors represent like star signs, and the Eastern side of things. So yeah, that's how we got into it, just in childhood growing up. And we just started using all of this knowledge to help other people and to help people get through things. And when we became massage therapists, and my sister, aromatherapy massage therapist, aromatherapist, she would combine chakra healing, chakra balancing, using crystals, colors, and also, the massage movements. So yes, that's how it all transpired. Everything happens for a reason, I always believe. And the things that we learn later on in life always comes around, and there's a reason why it happens in certain times, because usually sometimes it's a case of like we've grown up with it. As we get older, we're more confident in using that specific subject, so we end up using that in a specific way, and then we integrate it in something else, and it becomes another thing. So then we go into, like I said, law of attraction. When I go into my master coaching, I implement the things that I've learned through my lessons, and I know how they can help somebody else. So it's always bespoke. So, if they're dealing with a toxic relationship, if they're dealing with lack of money coming into their business, all that kind of stuff, I will implement certain things that I've done. I even created a course on the law of attraction, so people could do it themselves. So they could just help themselves, and they can take their own time about it.
Yes, I would like to take that course.
Sorry?
I said, yes, I would like to take that course.
Yeah, but it's, all I did was just implement things that I've learned and done and know that work. Because when you're consistent with everything, it all comes into play, and you start to see things happening. And I always say, like, keep your eyes and ears open, because you never know who you're going to meet, what you're going to see. Certain thing you might see twice, 2, 3 times, could be deja vu as well. But if you see things happening in patterns, then be aware these patterns are there for a reason. And there's obviously something going on in your head. There's a question or something, and you're waiting for this answer. So always, just keep your eyes and ears open. Also feel there may be things going around you that you've not noticed, or not even seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had this lady across the street, and I was going to get a present for my son, and she was telling me about how, how you, like, if you're going to the grocery store, or if you're going home, and you get this little feeling inside, say, go to the grocery store to get some milk.
Right.
Oh, I got milk at home in the refrigerator. No, go to the grocery store and get some milk. But why? I got milk at home. And so she didn't go to the grocery store. She went 2 blocks left and got into a car accident and was in a coma for 3 months. So when the universe is talking to you, you get those little gut feelings, you need to listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I never listened those years back when I was going through all the toxic stuff. I kept ignoring my gut instinct. So my gut was telling me something, and so the third eye is intuition.
Yes.
And it was blocked. So the third eye chakra was blocked, and I didn't realize. And yet my gut was saying something, but I was like, oh no, I just kept brushing it off. And then it got to a point, like I said, that time I went, oh, and I could really feel something really deep tugging and going, had enough. Come on, had enough.
Yes.
Get it? Do you get it now? Come on, let's go. And that's when I woke up, basically, because I was like, you walk in a daze, don't you? It's like you're so used to everything, and you just ignore everything because it's just there, and you don't want to do anything about it in case you rock the boat or get into the uncertainty of things. But I've learned, no, listen to your gut, go with it. Somebody says something to you to do, there's a reason. Even if you don't think, and you think, oh, whatever, just do it, because you never know who you're going to meet, what you're going to do, what you're going to see, what you're going to find, and what you're going to attract. Yeah.
So you have a unique name for your business. How did you come up with that?
Well, Crimson Catz. So Crimson
Yes.
Catz, we love the color red, the crimson color red, and cats. We love cats, right? So we were brought up with cats since we were 5 years of age. Our next door neighbors had like 6 cats in their garden and whatever and things like that. And our late dad, he loved animals. He was born in Nairobi with Indian, with Indian heritage. So he was born in Nairobi, and when you open the front door, basically, you tell us stories. You'd basically walk out into the jungle. That's where they lived. So they loved animal. He loved animals. He'd always see the lions, tigers, you name it. They were there. And when we got to a certain age, Dad always said to us, "Look after your animals. Look after cats, especially." They were like, we'd find cats at the bottom of the garden back then, and we just have to nurse them and make sure they were all right and things like that. But not only that, in regards to our company, when we were doing all the holistic and the beauty stuff, cats represent going solo, being pristine, being independent, loving to groom, looking after themselves. So we're like, yeah. So we call our clients our kittens. So we're the Crimson Catz and they're our kittens. So we look after them, we pamper them, we look after them, we help them out with whatever they do. And yeah, so when they come in, they get looked after. When they go out, it's like, yeah, I've done my thing. Off I go off on their travels. And that's what cats do. And we always kept looking at cats and doing their catwalk and things like that. And we just go, do you know what? Yeah, Crimson Catz, that's it. But we'll do the Z instead of the S. And yeah, and that's how the name came up. Yeah, Crimson Catz.
Well, thank you for that. When people have a
That's right.
unique name in their business, like to ask them, what does that mean? Because it's usually a story behind it. And that was a
Yeah,
good one.
that's
It's a good one.
yeah,
Um, we was talking earlier, and you was talking about Mercury, the plants. Could you go a
yeah.
little bit more deeper into that, please, if you don't mind?
No, absolutely not. So all the planets, they represent star signs and also represent like days of the week. Yeah. So, but also when it comes to the movement of planets, the planetary activity is really, really important. At the moment, Venus is in Pisces. So all the planets obviously go into certain star signs and they all mean something. When we look at Mercury, especially, usually when Mercury goes into retrograde, and it doesn't mean going backwards, it means just going slower, you then have to be aware of transportation. So if you are getting in your car to go somewhere or catching a train or bus or whatever, you need to be a little bit more early than usual because they may be running late or they may break down or your car might have an issue, that kind of thing. When it comes to technology, you need to again be aware of technology. If you're using your laptop or you are using, like I said, like a music system, that kind of thing, be prepared to go in early to sort it out rather than leaving it till last minute, because what you'll find is some sort of hiccup and Mercury playing around with you. If you have
Mm.
if you've when you put your keys somewhere or anything you have, prepare the night before that you know where things are, because in the morning they may have disappeared somewhere else and you probably won't find them unless you've chucked them in the fridge and then you find them in the fridge. And it's things like that. And like Venus, the planet of love, when it comes to love and relationships, when Venus is going forwards, all is great. But it also depends on what star sign she sits in. Because at the moment she's in Pisces. She moved into Pisces last Thursday, Thursday just gone, and she's staying there till the 20th of February. Now, what does that mean for Pisces? Because Pisces is a dreamy horoscope, it's a dreamy star sign. And Venus and Pisces, you'll be a lot more dreamier, a lot more vulnerable. You may accept things that you don't usually accept. So you just got to be aware of that. And not only that, you'll also start being a little bit more frivolous with your money. So just be aware of that as well. And as Venus is in Pisces, know your self-worth, know what you're worth. Please do not go down the road of, oh, that'll do, oh, that'll do, because it won't work. It's just a big no. What are planets I talk about? Saturn. So Saturn was Capricorn. So with Saturn, it's grandpa planet. It's granddad. It's an old way of looking at things. So if you are a Capricorn, and even if you come into conjunction with that planet, with Saturn, you might find like one of our friends, one of our besties, her son. I think he's 16 now, but when he was growing up, because he's a Capricorn, Saturn had a lot of effect on him. So he'd think very grown up. We call him the old soul. So there'd be very like old fashioned. Oh no, I'd like to have that instead of that. And it has to be pristine. It has to be like this. And they'll talk in a way that you look at them and go, but they're only that age. They shouldn't be talking like that. Because they miss the whole childhood thing. It's like, no, they've grown up so quickly, you know. And what other planets? Pluto, planet of mystery. The under. We always call it like what do you call it? So the underworld. That's it, the underworld. So Pluto, mysterious for Scorpio. So I'm an October Scorpio, which is a little bit different to November. Not so much of a sting in the tail. But Pluto, yeah, being in the depths. That's why Scorpios are known as mystery.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of Entrepreneurial Empire. We have the lovely Anita with us. This is part 2, and she is here to talk about some very important tips as well as advice and resources that you guys can use to help you live a better, balanced life. And this question is why the law of attraction doesn't work for some. Miss Anita, why is that?
Okay, and it's nice. It's really straightforward. It's nice and easy. It's because people don't know their worth. They put themselves down pretty easily, but not only that, they forget to do affirmations, set their intentions, doing the methods in regards to attracting what the universe has for them, because the universe is always abundant. I always see her as pregnant and she's ready to drop things on you. And it's just that some are very they have a negative mindset. Growing up, there's some old beliefs they have in regards to money, like money doesn't grow on trees, but it does because it's made of trees. And so I would say to people, like, remember that, you know, from their parents, grandparents, whoever brought them up, when you get to a certain age, like 7, you get conditioned to believe that you're not worthy of good things. You have to work 100 hours a day just to make money and get food on the table and all that kind of stuff. And then also, if somebody said, usually what would happen is a friend, for example, will say to you, oh, could you help me with something? Could you help me with this? Could you know? And you're like, oh yeah, okay. And because of your expertise and your time given, remember, because with laws of karma, giving and receiving, when you're giving your time, you know, and they turn around and give you £100 or something, or dollars or whatever, a currency, you know, a lot of people turn around and go, no, it's all right. Oh no, don't worry, it's all right. Yeah, don't worry about that. No, take it, because you're telling this person your time is not worth anything. You're telling this person that your expertise or whatever you're doing is not worth anything. You're telling the universe, oh no, I don't want any more. I don't want any abundance. I'm okay by myself doing what I'm doing. And that's why it doesn't work for people, because a lot of people are in negative. They will say no. There's a time to say no, and that's when you're people pleasing. That's another story. But yeah, but when it comes to law of attraction, when people giving things to you that are some worth, take it, because you are worthy. You are worthy of having that. And it doesn't matter what it is, because when it comes to giving and receiving, people have to remember as well, it may be time. You may help somebody move house. You might help someone declutter. You may help somebody go through a tough time. And it was only like, was it last year? We helped somebody. It was a friend of ours back in the 90s. We helped them, and last year they gave us some money. We never expected it, but we're like, wow, we forgot all about back in the 90s. We just did a favor. But it always comes back to you, whatever way. Everything is energy. Everything moves. Money's energy, your bed is energy, your bedroom's energy, anything that you see is energy. You are energy, and energy has to move. It has to go around the place. It has to, in order for new energy to come in, old energy needs to move. And this is where people get stuck. They sit there and they're like, oh, I shouldn't have this, I shouldn't have that, everything should just be the same. And they may even pile things on top of things and go, oh, it just has to be the same. So like when it comes to law of attraction, why things don't work is because people keep stopping it from working because of their negative mindset, because of their belief system. I always call it the BS. Because their belief system is that they reject everything. It's as simple as that. So until they start saying yes to things, until people start saying, I am worthy, and yes, I do this. So for example, a business, shouldn't really be giving things away for free unless things come back to you in a certain way so you can help the other person. And when it comes to business, they say, oh, don't pay. Oh no, don't pay for that. You're telling the person your business isn't worth anything. And you're telling other people like you're not worthy, and even if it's even a relationship, if you're already thinking this person is up there in the vibration and I'm down here, you're not going to attract them. And if you do, they're not going to stay around for so long, because they can be like, oh no, I'm better than this, off I go. And then you wonder, what happened? Why did they go? And that's the other thing as well. When you attract another person, whatever way, whether it be a friend, being in a relationship, or even a business partner, that kind of thing, you need to be on the same vibration. So if one person's down here not believing that they're worth being with the other person, they're not going to change anything. They're not going to move forwards. They're not going to be able to accept that the universe has given you something that's good. So you need to raise that vibration to match the other person. Yeah, so that's why the law of attraction doesn't work for some. In a
My
nutshell.
daughter, she's like, don't, excuse me, if somebody's doing something for you, she say, don't knock your blessings. Because that's what it is.
Yes, your daughter's got it. She's got it. Right. So yeah, when somebody helps you, that's great. But I think it's like everybody wants to be independent. And unfortunately, we have this condition where if somebody gives something to you, you feel compelled to give something back. And you don't, because it will happen at a certain time. You don't have to do it straight away, because it could be something else from you, or that's triggered a chain reaction that would help the other person, or something you say, or something that you do, or you've worked through another friend of yours or somebody you work with, and it can have this chain reaction and work back to the other person. So whether it be like for business, like referral, word of mouth, so it's gone back. Like, so if you've given something to somebody, somebody else could have triggered something, or they could have triggered something, or someone else has heard something, and then they contact you, and then you're like, oh, who's that person? Kind of, how did you find me? And I say, oh yeah, I heard from blah, blah. Then you find out, because I heard it from this person, it's because of that person that saw you in the first place. So it works in so many different ways. So that's why you shouldn't feel like conditioned to give things out to people straight away, because it doesn't work like that. Just because someone's helped you, have gratitude always. And that's another thing why it doesn't work. And that's another reason why law of attraction doesn't work, because people do not have gratitude. There are people with ego, and I call ego edging God out. because they're not being real to themselves. There's no balance. It's okay to have ego, but it has to be balanced. So if they've got too much of an ego and there's no gratitude, well, they will lose something. Something will happen in their life it will trigger it, and then they'll go, oh, why did that happen then? Well, and someone will probably turn around and go, because you're so ungrateful, because you don't, you're always taking and never giving, or you're always saying something unpleasant. And if somebody gives you a compliment, that's another thing that stops law of attraction from working. Because when someone compliments you, you don't have to give the compliment back, but you say thank you.
Yes.
You say thank you. A lot of people feel like if they say, oh, you look nice today, they feel they have to say it back. It doesn't work like that. You don't have to give it back straight away, because it could happen something else that they've done, and you go, oh, thanks for that. That's what I was looking for. And they'll say, oh, yeah, no worries, that's fine. And then when you go to bed, or even in the morning, do people say their gratitudes? Probably not. Do they even write them down? Probably not. Probably not even thought about it. And because in the morning and at night you're in your conscience, you're in your element, you're there in the present, that's a great time to say your gratitudes. And that's where stuff will flow. Yeah, and that's where stuff will flow. That's how you work with the law of attraction.
I was talking to a beautiful lady yesterday, and she was saying how every morning she gets up and she say her affirmations, and she asks God, who can I help today?
Yeah.
Whether it is big or small, who can I help today?
Yeah. And I always say as well, you could put £7 or $7 in your pocket, and when you feel, it's not a case of like just do it. It's like when you feel from your gut, from your intuition, there's somebody out there that might need $1 or might need £1, and you give that to them, or you pay forwards, pay for someone's coffee. If someone's stuck paying for the groceries at the store, or they've run out of $5, whatever, if you're behind and you're able to do that, just step forwards and give, because it will come back to you. And that's another thing as well. A lot of people they hold on to their money like it's sitting there not doing anything, and they're like, I can't let this go, because if I let it go, I don't know if any more money is going to come. Of course it's going to come. It's energy. It will come to you. So you let that go, let it have a purpose, because money has to have a purpose. If you have it in your bank account and you call it car fund or rainy day fund, it has a purpose. It's sitting there for a purpose. But if it's sitting there and you are so afraid of letting it go, it won't flow. And you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, I don't have that amount of money.
That too. Yeah. You give it out and it magnifies that too.
Yeah. And usually it would come in tenfold. Someone says like, oh, I spent £20 or $20 on something, and you're like, oh, should I've done that? And they always think about it. It's like, look, you've done it, it's done. Okay. But what happens is it'll come back to you, and even it could be $40, $40, whatever, and it'll come back to you, and you go, oh, and you wouldn't realize it, but you're like, but when you get it, prosperity, you shout prosperity, and then more will come, because the universe now knows you're happy and you're abundant and you want more.
Why is it important to declutter, and even more important to use feng
shui? So decluttering is important because you're getting rid of stale energy. If you're sitting on things in the past, if you're, for example, if you're looking for a new relationship, or if you're looking for more money and you're sitting on old things, old photos, old memories, old books that you're not learning from, that kind of thing, remove it. So when you're decluttering, you can give whatever it is to charity. You can, if something doesn't have a purpose for you anymore, give it to somebody who will have a purpose for it. and then you can either recycle or throw things away too. And what then that does is you're telling then the universe that your space is now open for something new. So if you're looking for a relationship, it's open for a new relationship. If it's open for business, so if you cleared all your old business stuff that wasn't doing anything, and especially if it was in negative, if you say for example you lost a lot of money on the first year, because you know you have to, when you have a turnover sometimes you might be in the minus, you need to remove that. I know they say like you have to hold accounts for a certain amount of years, but put it away somewhere where you don't need to keep looking at it, or and where it's got space of its own until that time when you can get rid of it, then let it go. When it comes to your health, okay, if you're not using a mountain bike or a treadmill, if it's not a purpose for you, give it to somebody who has purpose for it. If you see somebody or someone said to you, oh, I'm looking to, I need a treadmill and that, you can sell it if you want to, but I'll say give it, because then they'll use it as a purpose and you'll get something back for yourself. If you want to get into a healthy situation with your life, there may be something else that would help you instead, that would trigger it, so it's all those kind of things when it comes to decluttering. And I love decluttering. It's one of my things. I always feel when I need something new or want something new, I will change something. I'll just remove things. I go, oh gosh, look at that. Paperwork. Oh my gosh. Money and purses and wallets. People forget about these things. Paperwork in bags, all that kind of stuff. If you're chucking in, I did videos on this as well. If you're putting receipts in your purse after you've bought something, you go home, you declutter your purse. Don't let it sit in there. Because again, you're telling because okay, there may be receipts you might need in case something goes wrong and you have to return it. However, you're telling the universe again, there's no space in my purse or my wallet or my bag, so I can't let anything come in. I'm happy with this. I'll just leave it like that, zip it up and leave it in the bag for centuries or whatever, until the next time you go and you go, oh, I can't open my purse because I've got all these paper bits in there. And then when you do open it up, seriously, get rid. Say thank you, get rid, off you go in the bin. And that's why I love decluttering.
And get rid of it. Close.
Yeah.
Say thank you,
yep.
But get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're thanking the receipt, because you've paid, you had the money to pay for it. So you're thanking the universe. You got the proof that you received it, and then you let it go. You say thank you and let it go, because it's done now. It's gone. It's in the past. And now you're back into the present. And then that's where, and I usually put like feng shui amulets in there, like the god of wealth, and also protection. So like I'm an ox in regards to the eastern side of things, and and because of that, I've got the rat helped the ox across the river. So the ox helped the rat across the river. The rat jumped on the ox's back and said, if you get me across the river, this was in the race of the 12 animals, if you can get me across, I will always look after you. So you always have to look at, depending on your eastern sign, your eastern animal, what animal is there to protect, that was there to protect you. So the rat was for us. So I have a protection amulet with the rat on it. And the rat, when we had lockdown in COVID, well, we had, because it was COVID in 2020, it was the rat year. And luckily, we were financially abundant because the government sorted something out, blah, blah, blah. I mean, my sis were like, oh my gosh, prosperity, we've got abundance, from the universe, we're okay. And that was the rat year. And we're like, yeah. And that's why I keep the rat in my purse. So it's things like that. And also crystals as well. When you're putting in quartz, crystal, citrine, you're putting in fool's gold, those three. The quartz will amplify the citrine and the fool's gold and the pyrite, but you need to make sure you've cleansed them and put in your intention and your energy. And having that again in your purse, because you've decluttered everything else, all the good stuff sits in your purse, your wallet, or your bag, you know, and it's like your jacket pockets as well. When you declutter your jacket pockets, what on earth are you collecting? Tissues and things like that. It's like you need to get rid of that. Clothes, things like that. Again, clothes, if you're not having the purpose, if you bought them in a sale, you need to ask yourself, why did you buy it in a sale? Did you feel that you were covering a void of how you feel about yourself? You know, that'll make me feel better, but it'll make me feel better in 5 minutes. It'll be sitting in my wardrobe for 2 years, still with
Ladies
a
go
tag on
to
it.
grocery, I mean,
Why?
do that kind of shopping all the time because they're, yeah,
Yeah,
their
so it's
mind.
so it's things like that. So you need to be aware of how much stuff you actually have and what you do actually need, because then if it doesn't have a purpose, declutter, give it to somebody, give it to charity, make some money out of it. I sold loads of stuff. I did a declutter challenge last year, last July, and I had some ladies join me online and stuff. And I've still got it on our website, like a free declutter challenge workbook you can just download and work through. And when I did that, we sold stuff. I made £700. I don't know what that is in dollars, but I made £700 just by selling stuff. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, gave some to charity, some of the money to charity, put the other away, spent it on my car and things like that, you know, bills and whatever that came through. Great. Didn't actually come out of my like proper savings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm always doing it. I helped declutter our mum's like shed, and it's like a big room, and had to help my brother, our youngest brother, got in with it, and I was like, yep, got to declare everything. And we felt the new energy come through. So it's really, really important to declare and feel that. And then and then we decluttered, we got rid of stuff, gave away stuff, sold stuff. And then my mum ended up getting like an outside dining table and chairs for really low price. And so she only spent like £40 on it or something, and it was something new. So when the old energy came in, that came because she was always looking to get that, and she never did because she was like, there's not enough space to even store it, you know, and things like that. So once we got all that out, the new energy came in, and everything, it started attracting new things. Yeah, so everyone get decluttering.
Yes, and let the good energy come in and the bad energy go out. Why spiritual wellness is even more important today? Why do you think that is?
Yeah, so spiritual wellness nowadays. So we're looking at yoga, we're looking at things that are holistic, we're looking at foods that we eat. Because of the pandemic as well, because of the COVID situation, it got to a point where people were overeating, not being able to go out to do things, to exercise. Well, we could, but it was very on and off, and it was very easy to sit at home. It's very easy to just keep watching negative stuff. It's very easy to bring yourself down in negativity, especially if you're hanging around with the wrong people as well. So with the spiritual wellness, and also like when using things like feng shui, where you're bringing in that wealth and prosperity, when it comes to the spiritual wellness, it's so important to have your inward journey as well as your outward journey, to focus on yourself, to clear your mind. I will say, like, harmonize mind, body, and then you can harmonize your business and your home as well through feng shui as well. So when it comes to the spiritual wellness, go out in nature. Anything that you have for free, you know, people moan about money and things like that, which is just like, just no, don't. But go outside. There are places you go to where there's parks, trees. Hug a tree. Feel the energy from nature coming in within you, because that will again help with your negative mindset, your belief system, the law of attraction. You know, when you're journaling, if you into journaling or reflect or doing reflection work, you know, take a book out, listen to uplifting music. Again, it's great for your mental health and energy, and also your physical health as well. And also you can meet with your friends now, it's all open now. So meet up with people you haven't seen for ages and go for a walk, have a picnic, make your own foods as well. So again, we're looking at nutrition when it comes to spiritual wellness. What types of food are you eating? And again, this works with law of attraction, because everything that you eat, whatever you put inside you, is what you reflect out. So if you're eating healthy, the universe will pick up on that, because you'll end up having a healthy mindset and feeling happy within yourself and raising your vibration. You start to attract better and good things in your life. And when it comes to the food and the exercise balance, looking at coloured foods as well. If you're looking at Ayurveda, um, the way they do seasonal foods. When it comes to autumn, you're looking at certain colours. When you're looking at winter, you're looking at the earthy colours. When it comes to summer, it's all the bright, vibrant colours in your foods. But just being aware, though, also if you have autoimmune disease, if you are going through menopause, all that kind of stuff, it's so important to have spiritual wellness working through you, because you need to pace yourself. There's no need to rush and dash off and do things. Bring yourself into the present and feel and believe what you're doing. The meditation, really, really important. Try and do it on a daily basis. Even if it is 10 minutes, put a sign on your door. Tell people not available. It's
10
okay.
minutes.
Yeah.
10
Even
minutes.
10 minutes of meditation, even 5 minutes if you're starting, and you start to feel different within you. Your body, your energy starts to shift.
I'm just now starting to learn all about this stuff. And it not
Yeah.
only is it exciting, but I can feel the enlightenment from it.
Oh, yeah.
And for a couple of days, I didn't do it and I felt like off. And I was like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? But as soon as I start back doing it, I feel that flow. And I'm able to calm myself down if I'm having a bad day. So I really do understand the importance of the meditation. Now, the yoga thing, I'm just learning now how to do, some slow things that I've seen on like
But
YouTube.
what I would say to you, Denise, and I would say to anyone else who have been trying to get into yoga or have been put off by yoga, because there are so many people on, especially on social media, they're going, oh, we do it like this, we do it like that. Yoga is not about competition. Yoga isn't about getting into the pose perfectly.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't
not
follow a
about that.
monk. Yeah.
No. And I mean, I've done it for years, and it's taken time. But we always say work the pose into the body, not the body into the pose. So our bodies are all made differently, in a sense of our shapes are different. What we can do is different to somebody else. And usually we'll get people looking at each other in classes, and we're like, no, focus on you. It's all about you. So when you go in to do a yoga class, even if you're doing it at home, do what you can do. Because at the end of the day, you're still going to feel you're doing something, and you're going to feel that enlightenment within you. And you're going to feel like when you do the breath work, that's more important, because the asanas only mentions twice in Patanjali's journal. So when you're looking at everything else in regards to yoga, it's all about the spiritual aspect. It's a philosophy of yoga. We're looking at the stories, we're looking at the breath work, we're looking at the meditation, we're looking at how your body interacts with certain poses. We're looking at the chakras. There's so many elements to yoga. So I always say, try not to focus too much on the poses, but look at the other elements, because they may be screaming to you more than what the poses are. You may feel you might want to breathe more deeply and learn how to breathe properly, because when you go out and about, you don't think about your breath. But it's your breath, when you're channeling, your mind becomes clearer and you start seeing a path. Then you get answers as well, because there's clarity in your breath as you're breathing correctly. And also when you're meditating as well, you'll see answers and again, a clear path. So they all work hand in hand. But I also say to everyone, try not to over focus on the asanas about getting it right. It's not about getting it right. It's about feeling what your body is doing and feeling the movement and enjoying it. Again, just enjoy it, you know. Yeah, just don't overthink it. Do it, but just don't overthink it. Yeah, and stay away from social media people who keep doing things like that because they're not giving you any they're not doing you any favors. No.
Can you tell the
Yeah.
listeners and the viewers how to reach you, your social channels, your electronic press kit?
Sorry.
I said, can you tell the viewers your electronic press kit or any information or links that you have?
Oh yeah, yeah. So our website is crimsoncatz.com, cats with a Z. LinkedIn, I'm Anita Amarissa. You can follow me on there or just connect with me. On Facebook, we've got a Crimson Catz page as well, so you can follow that if you want to. Also we're on Instagram, Crimson_Catz. We're on TikTok, Crimson Catz 888, because we've got the number of affinity and abundance and prosperity, of course. Yeah, I think that's it. So if you do check our website, we do have free downloads for the decluttering. I've got a free download workbook for Feng Shui if you want to start off with that as well. And we've got, I've got a law of attraction, the 7 laws of attraction event starting actually tomorrow, 7 p.m. GMT time. That's on the 30th of Jan, but I'll be running it every month. So if you've missed out on this one, I'll be running it every month, but it's 7 sessions over 7 evenings, well, depending on where everyone is, and I go through my story along with these laws of the laws of attraction, the 7 laws, and I implement practicals that are quite easy and straightforward that you can implement in your life. So you can start from day 1 to day 7. I'm doing a money manifestation meditation at the end on the Sunday because it's one of the bonuses, and I'm covering angel numbers on the Saturday as well. So you'll get a workbook to download when you register. So once you've got that, I'll be going through just the little practicals that we'll be doing, and then you can start putting all 7 practicals together to make a nice swift movement into working the law of attraction and attracting the abundance and prosperity you deserve.
Thank you for joining us today. It was wonderful talking to you and learning about the different aspects of feng shui and meditation, and to balance yourself so that you can live a longer and healthier life.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, thank you for inviting me, Denise. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yes, yes, guys, you can like and subscribe to Anchor, Spotify, as well as YouTube. This is going to be an epic episode. I hope that you guys enjoy and learn something and be enlightened. Thank you as always. Be bold, be beautiful, and be blessed.